This is now it's cooking show time.
It's cooking show time. I'm going to be all Rachel Ray now. I love Rachel Ray.
Okay.
She loves dogs too.
Okay, how we for view there, Bailey?
Okay, can you guys kind of see the worktop? You want to kind of pan down a bit? There. Maybe it's up here. No, other way. That way. Down. Megan's so happy we're recording this part. Okay. So.
I'll be sorry.
This is going to be really super simple, and the recipe is up there. So you don't need very many things. I'm just going to get this organized. So what you do is you have, I need this. Okay. If you have a lovely assistant, my head is cut off. A lovely assistant, Rita, who does things. What you're going to want to do is get yourself some flour. So you need 2 2/3 cups of flour. You need to have an empty baggie with nothing in it. You need to have salt and sugar, and it's 1.5 teaspoons of each. I put them both in this baggie together. You need to have a packet of yeast. Cheap stuff, yeast?
Yes.
Yes.
Another thing at Aldi's, way cheaper.
Yeah. So it comes in 3 of these, but you only just need the 1. So, and then melted butter. So my lovely assistant, Rita, is going to use this knife and melt for me 3 tablespoons of butter.
All right.
The butter adds richness to the bread, and it's part of what gives it a bit of flavor. You guys bake a lot? I should be looking up here. Do you guys bake? Do you often hear don't use salted butter? Use salted butter. It does add a little bit of salt, so you might want to cut back on the other stuff, but I like salted butter because I think salt is kind of the spice of life, which is why my blood pressure is high, but that's fine.
That's the only thing on your list of spices.
Yeah. So the first thing you want to start with, it's kind of like making what they call a sponge. Just put your yeast into a bowl. This is an old casserole dish of my mom's, so it should tell you how old it is. She had this when I was a little kid. We lost the lid years ago, but it still works. It's microwave safe. It actually is even oven safe. So anything left over, go again, Mom, do you have anything that you could send me? So the yeast goes in there. And then contrary to what Paul Hollywood says, are we all British Bake Off people? Yes. Paul Hollywood says, don't put your salt next to your yeast, which is silly because 2 seconds later you mix the yeast and the salt together.
Yeah, that's really,
so it's not going to do anything.
Totally unscientific.
It's kitchen voodoo. That's what it is. So you just add your sugar and your salt. I'm going to get rid of your baggies. And then what you want to do is add your melted butter last, okay? Because it just came out of the microwave. It's a bit hot. If it's too hot, it can kill the yeast.
Don't kill the yeast.
We don't want to kill the yeast. What we want to do is get the yeast nice and wet so that they start eating the sugar that we put in there. So this is just a cup of water, normally just wrist warm. So not too hot, not cold, but you don't have to be exact with it. It's actually, I've never killed yeast yet. And so we're just going to add that to it. If you leave it sit like this while your butter is cooling, that's totally fine because it's going to make what they call a sponge. So you might notice it getting kind of frothy and foamy on top. That's actually the way I start all my actual bread baking. Paul Hollywood does them. They're fine. So then once this is cooled off a bit more, add your tablespoons of melted butter and it starts to look like a slurry. But trust me, it turns into bread. So then what you do, okay, now is when I need these, is you're going to add your flour a bit at a time. Now the recipe says 1/2 cup at a time. Great, that's fine. You don't have to be super exact if it's already measured out. You just need to add it. If you don't have a spoon, which we don't happen to have, but we do happen to have gloves, you use your hands because they're your best kitchen utensil actually. So you're going to add your flour a bit at a time. I double bagged this because I wasn't sure if it was going to fall over my car. So this is 2 2/3 cup of flour. I'm just going to add handfuls of it, enough like that. Are you seeing this? No. Can you tip it down a bit?
Yeah.
And you focus right on the bowl, right there. Okay. So you're just going to swoosh it. And if you have a lovely assistant, Rita, who can come around the table here, Hello, Rita.
Yes, what do you want?
Could you slowly add flour into this?
I will do that.
I actually find this to be fairly useful because you can tell if you've got big lumps. Flunk. So this is what you do. We're not going to go through the whole thing because with the magic of television, we actually have a loaf here that's done. But it's going to start getting thicker and thicker. And eventually you're going to get it all over the lab.
Yeah,
Right.
it's cleanable.
But as you start mixing it, you can knead it at the same time right in this bowl. You don't have to do anything except knead it right in the bowl, especially if you've got like limited space in a dorm room or a very small kitchen. This comes in handy. And you don't have to be perfect because everyone knows life isn't perfect. It's taking my glove away from me. It's become the swamp thing. So it might take a little while. You don't have to knead it a lot either, because basically what you're making is something that's a lot like a big Chinese steamed bun, but that toasts up really well in the toaster and makes some of the best, crispiest grilled cheese ever. And I personally like my grilled cheese with pickles on them. I think that's delicious. I've had grilled cheese with a little barbecue sauce on it. It's quite good, especially if it's smoky.
It is.
So you end up getting a ball of dough that looks a bit like this. Oh, okay. Then what you want to do is you're going to go aside for a second. You can take your glove off at this point. Grab some spray stuff. Spray the inside of the bowl really quick. You're going to take your ball of dough, kind of form it into what they call a boule, right? So basically you're just making it round, and underneath while you're doing it, you're kind of scrunching it together. So it comes out kind of round. Plop it in your bowl, turn it over so it gets some of the cooking oil on that side. And then you're going to want to cover it up so it can sleep for an hour. So here's the deal. Usually they have you put like plastic wrap and a clean kitchen towel over it. We don't all have those things handy. I have a shortcut for you. You're college students, you all have this, right? Paper, and you have cooking spray. If you have these two things, or even this remarkable, where is the butter left? Here's a handy thing you can do with butter. So you want to grease something and you've only got a little bit of the butter left in this annoying paper stuff. This annoying paper stuff actually is really good for greasing things. You can just rub it on the paper or spray the paper down, because what you want to do is create something so that the bread dough doesn't stick on the bowl, and you just lay it down over the top of the bowl. And then on top of that, you can put a clean t-shirt, a towel if you got it.
Bailey, that's like the geekiest thing I've ever seen.
What?
Spraying computer paper to put on your bread to rub.
It's handy. It's cooking on a budget, right? So then after an hour, all you have to do is check to make sure your dough is still in there. Then you take it out, put it in the microwave right in the same bowl. You can lift up again. I'm headless. For 4 whole minutes, okay? And then check it. So I'm gonna show you the Paul Hollywood test, in case you don't know. When it's still warm, this is cooled off, you push on it. If it bounces back, it's done. And I pushed on this one quite a bit. You can see it's indented in places. It wasn't done then. Then it was not done, but now it's done. So I made this one fancy. I sprayed it a bit and put onion powder and some thyme on top of it. So you let it cool for about 5 minutes after it's out of the microwave. And then it comes out of the, yes, it comes out. You want to take it out of the bowl. The magic of live podcasting. Okay. Really, this is just like an episode of, okay, Great British Bake Off. Yours will come out, trust me. All right. So once it comes out, when you cut into it, it doesn't get brown, right? This is beige because there's no what, Hartzell?
There's no browning reaction.
There's
No Maillard
browning.
reaction.
There's no Maillard. So it's going to be kind of like the inside of a loaf of bread that doesn't have crust on it, which is fine because lots of us, when we were kids, well, I didn't, but cut the crust off my peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So it comes out looking kind of crumbly. This is a very poor cut. Kind of comes out looking like that under fluorescent lights, which is terrible.
But delicious.
But it's pale and it's yeasty.
Yeah, it's really good.
Oops, I ate in a lab.
And it toasts up beautifully. I won't tell.
The chemistry police are gonna come down, you know. Super, super simple to do. And it makes, I mean, this was the same amount of stuff I just did. It rose to this and it filled this entire casserole dish. So it'll make bread for you for quite a while. And it'll make a huge mess
Yeah.
that your lovely assistant Rita will clean up for you. So that's that. You wanna come back and have question time?
I will come back.
Ooh, that time is timing.
If after all this, you have anything you would like to know, please ask, or we can ask you. We would love
Yeah,
it. We
we'll
would
love
love
questions.
to hear hints from you guys too.
Yeah,
Because
ooh, give
yeah,
us hints.
you're in the trenches, you know, so, right? You
We
know,
always look for hints.
Yeah.
You're in the trenches. You're getting dorm foot. trench
Right,
foot.
right.
It's a World War I joke, don't worry.
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, so I don't have yeast with me, but I did bring my sourdough starter with me.
Yeah.
Yay!
Will
Oh,
it
bless your heart.
work with sourdough starter? Or